It was supposed to be an ordinary evening. The city lights shimmered against the wet streets as a young woman drove home through the rain. Her fingers gently wrapped around the steering wheel, a faint smile resting on her lips. She had dreams waiting for her, and a man who loved her more than life itself. But fate does not ask for permission. A sudden screech of tires, a violent crash, silence, and in a single moment, everything ends. The rain disappears, the pain disappears. The world below grows distant, and her soul rises, higher above the clouds, beyond the stars, into a place untouched by sorrow, a place of endless light. Confused and trembling, the young woman looks around until she sees a radiant angel standing before her. The angel gazes at her gently, and suddenly, the truth crashes into her harder than the accident itself. She is dead. She is grief-stricken, not for herself, but for her fiancé. She falls to her knees, crying. The angel remains silent at first, but she pleads to see her fiancé one last time. The angel extends a hand, and together they descend through the skies. She sees him, holding her photograph against his chest, sobbing uncontrollably, the kind of crying that comes from a soul being torn apart. With tears in her eyes, she entreated the angel to do something. The angel looks at her gently and says only one word: "Pray." And so she does. For the first time in her existence, she prays not for herself, but for love. Silence fills heaven. Then the angel steps forward once more. "Your prayer has been heard." Her eyes widened. "You may return to earth for one single day. One day to see him again. But understand this. Time in heaven and time on earth are not the same. For us, only moments may pass. But on earth, years may have gone by. And when you return, he may not recognize you. You will appear differently in his eyes." The young woman closes her eyes, thinking only of him, even if he no longer knows her, even if time has erased her face. She opens her eyes, filled with courage. "I accept." The gates of heaven opened, and the young woman walks toward the light, descending back to earth. Her feet touch the ground gently. She opens her eyes. The world has changed. The buildings are older, the streets busier. Time had moved on without her. She stands beneath the fading gold of an autumn evening, on a street she once walked countless times with the man she loved. And there, across the road, she sees him, sitting alone beside the window of their favorite neighborhood cafe, a cup of coffee resting between weathered hands. Older now, his dark hair touched with silver, lines around tired eyes that had clearly cried too much. But it was still him, still the same gentle soul, still the man she loved beyond death itself. Standing across the street from their favorite cafe, she spotted him immediately. When he stepped outside, she approached him and asked for directions to an address. He glanced at the paper and smiled kindly. "It's a bit difficult to explain," he said. "I'll walk you there." Just as she remembered, his kindness came naturally. As they walked through the evening streets, conversation flowed easily. What began as a simple request for directions soon felt like much more. The silence between them was comfortable, and neither could explain why. It was as though their hearts remembered each other, even if their minds did not. As they walked, they passed a small pizza shop she instantly recognized, the same place they used to visit years ago. Smiling, she suggested they stop for a slice. Soon they were sitting together by the window, sharing a pizza as the rain fell softly outside. What should have felt like a meeting between strangers instead felt strangely familiar. Then his expression softened. "There was someone I used to come here with," he said quietly. She loved this place. A sad smile crossed his face. "I lost her many years ago." She lowered her gaze, fighting back tears. After a moment, he looked at her and whispered, "And yet, Being here with you feels strangely familiar. By the time they left the pizza shop, the rain had stopped. They continued walking together until they arrived at an apartment building. He stopped and looked up in surprise. "This is my building," he said. "How did you know I lived here?" For a moment, she said nothing. Then she looked into his eyes. There was a warmth in her gaze that felt deeply familiar, touching a part of his heart that time had never been able to reach. And though he couldn't explain it, standing beside her felt strangely like coming home. She smiled warmly, and for a moment he felt a familiarity he couldn't explain. Then she reached into her pocket and handed him a single pink rose, his favorite flower. "Thank you," she whispered, "for everything." As she turned to leave, she paused and added softly, "True love doesn't need to wait any longer now." The word stirred something deep within him. He couldn't place the memory, but somehow they felt familiar, as if he had heard them long ago. He watched her disappear into the night before slowly making his way back to his apartment. As he climbed the stairs, her final words echoed in his mind. True love doesn't need to wait any longer now. Then a memory surfaced, a rainy evening long ago, a pink rose in her hands, a shy smile on her face, and those exact same words. He stopped in his tracks, staring at the flower she had given him. For the first time in decades, tears filled his eyes, not from grief, but from the realization that, somehow, the love he had lost had found its way back to him, if only for one night. The apartment was quiet when he returned home. Still holding the pink rose, he found an old vase, filled it with water, and carefully placed the flower inside. Then he sat down beside it. As he stared at the rose, memories he had buried for years came rushing back. Her laughter, her smile, the countless small moments they had shared together. Then he remembered. A rainy evening long ago, the same pink rose in her hands, the same warmth in her eyes, and the same words. True love doesn't need to wait forever. His hands trembled as the realization slowly settled over him. The flower, the words, the feeling he couldn't explain. It was her. The room was quiet except for the soft rain outside. As he sat staring at the rose, something unusual happened. A thin silver mist began to rise from the flower, glowing faintly in the dim light. The smoke drifted through the room, bringing with it a feeling of warmth and familiarity. Then, deep within his heart, he felt a question, not spoken, but somehow heard. "Do you want to come home?" The words filled him with peace. As he watched the shimmering mist, the apartment no longer felt empty. It felt as though she was there with him once more. And for the first time since losing her, the thought of leaving this world no longer brought fear, only comfort. The silver mist continued to drift through the apartment, filling the room with a strange warmth. Suddenly, a wave of weakness overcame him. His vision blurred, the ticking clock faded, and darkness gently closed around him. When he opened his eyes again, everything had changed. Beyond the open window stretched a bridge of glowing clouds reaching into the heavens. Though astonished, he felt no fear. Drawn forward by an overwhelming sense of peace, he stepped onto the cloud bridge. Only then, far behind him, his lifeless body remained motionless on the couch beside the pink rose. He never looked back. As he walked higher along the bridge of clouds, the years slowly fell away. The wrinkles faded, the gray vanished from his hair, and the weariness he had carried for so long disappeared. With each step, he became younger, until once again he was the man she had fallen in love with all those years ago. Young, free, whole. And waiting for him at the end of the heavenly path was a familiar light, and the love he had never stopped carrying in his heart. As he followed the bridge of clouds into the heavens, the pain and loneliness of earth slowly faded away. Then he saw her, standing beside the gates of heaven, just as beautiful as the day he had lost her. For a moment, neither spoke. They simply looked at one another, tears filling their eyes. After all the years apart, She was finally there, waiting for him. He rushed toward her, and when they embraced, every sorrow, every goodbye, and every lonely year seemed to melt away. "I thought I lost you forever," he whispered. She smiled gently and touched his face. "You never lost me." Hand in hand, they turned toward the gates of heaven and walked forward together, never to be separated again.